guys. Okay, so I'm not even gonna lie. This video is probably gonna be a little bit longer. I'm not really gonna go into major detail about any of the books because I kind of went on an all-out book shopping spree. I got a little out of hand, but I'm okay with this because it's been a long time since I've actually bought books for myself. So I'm totally allowing this, and it's not wrong. It's okay. First off, though, I do want to say I've been doing a lot of redecorating with my bookshelves, and I'm really loving how it's going and what's becoming of it. As you can see behind me, I bought some really cool garland that's made out of recycled book pages and newspapers, and hung it all over, and I'm not done yet. Last weekend, I spent the entire weekend repainting an old bookshelf of mine so that way I could add it to my collection. You don't see it here, but I'll kind of show you briefly. I'm loving how it turned out. It's teal. And I've got some more stuff I'm going to do to it. I'm going to add some decals and other fun stuff to it to make it pop a little bit more. But today's focus is on the crap ton of books that I have acquired from Book Outlet, and I think I found a couple at the dollar store, but I'm just going to dive right in. So I originally already had them placed, so I had to kind of dig them out, and that way I could show everyone. First book I have is called Arclight by, I'm going to say, Jocelyn McQueen. This one just sounded interesting. I never heard of it, never seen it, but the cover was really cool looking in my opinion, and it sounded really interesting, and it reminded me kind of like the Maze Runner and the Lorien Legacies, and it's actually reviewed by Piticus Lore on the front of it from the Lorien Legacies. The Accident Season by Moira Fowley Doyle. I hope I said that right. Probably not, but that's okay. This one has been on my radar for a while. The cover just looks very interesting to me, and the whole premise of the book sounds just very creative and interesting in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to actually reading this one. My next book is the second in the final in this series, is the Landry Park series, Jubilee Manor by Bethany Hagen. I haven't read this series yet, but I have heard really good things about it, and it just looks beautiful. I'm a sucker for covers, but I am excited to read this series. Between Spark and the Burn by April Genevieve Chichok. I'm really bad at pronouncing these authors' names anymore, but I love the cover again, and it just sounds interesting. Kelly Armstrong, Empire of Night. I am a sucker for anything Kelly Armstrong. I love her. She's one of my all-time favorite authors, and I have not read this series. I have read most of her other series, but this one I have not. I am excited to dive into it, and I hadn't owned any of it yet. The Rising by Kelly Armstrong. This is finally completing my series for this series in particular. I've already read it. I love this series. It is amazing. It's part of basically a spinoff of a spinoff of a spinoff of a series. If you've never read Kelly Armstrong, she writes the Otherworld series. It's an adult. And then she has her Darkest Power trilogies. That's young adult. And then she has this series that spun off of that is young adult as well. 13 by Kelly Armstrong. This completes my Otherworld series collection. I owned everything except this book, so I was really excited that this was finally on Book Outlet. I got 7, 8, and 9 of the Graves series, or the Charlie Davidson series by Duranda Jones. This series I just devour. It is so epic and amazing and hilarious if you've never read this series. I own the rest of these, but I've slowly been collecting as they've come out. Another Day by David Leviathan. I own the first one of this. I haven't read it, but this is the second one. Unbreakable by Elizabeth Norris. This is the second to her in her Unraveling series. I read this series. I loved it. I'm really sad that she didn't do more with it because it was actually a really great idea in my opinion. The Anatomical Shape of a Heart. I love the cover of this one. It's really cool. By Jen Bennett. And again, just looks really cool and interesting to me. Shadow Falls by C.C. Hunter. This is Almost Midnight, the novella collection in the Shadow Falls series. I've read the first couple in this series, but I haven't finished it, but I have to complete my collection. Arise by Tara Hudson. This is the second to this series. Again, look at that cover. Scarlet and Cress by Marissa Meyer. I'm in the middle of this one. I read the first two, but this series I love. It's very original, but not at the same time since it is retellings. But it is a wonderful series so far. I can't wait to actually finish it. I was waiting till I owned the hard copy and not just the ebook to finish the series because I prefer it in hard copy. The Last Star by Rick Yancey. And I told you before, I thought I purchased this one, but I purchased the second one. So I had to actually complete my collection in this series, and I bought the third one. And this series I loved as well. And he actually, I think, just released that he's writing more to this series, which I cannot wait for, and I'm super excited for. Scott Westerfeld, Afterworlds. I am a huge, huge fan of the Uglies series, and this is another series of his. So I'm actually really excited to read this. I loved the Uglies series. It is so amazing. I actually been dying to reread it. If you haven't read it, it is a great series to read. The Art of Laney by Paula Stokes. I've read this book. I love this book. I devoured this book. I was on a huge rom-com fiend, and this is one of the ones that I read, and it is hilarious, and I loved every minute of it. Fool Me Twice by Mandy Hubbard. This is another one that I kind of devoured in 5 minutes. I have read it. It is hilarious and adorable, and if you haven't heard of Mandy Hubbard, she also writes another wonderful book called Ripple, but I love this book. A School for Unusual Girls by Kathleen Baldwin. After Party by Anne Reddish Stampler. This just sounds very dark and kind of creepy. Trial by Fire by Josephine Angelini. Zodiac by Romina Russell. To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I've read this, I listened to the audiobook for this book, and it was super, super adorable. I want to actually read the physical copy, and then I want to continue on with the series because I loved the audiobook for the first book, so I can't wait to dive into this. Fire by Christine Kishore. This has actually been a recommendation by one of my favorite authors, Heather Lyons. She's obsessed with this book, and she's told me and multiple other people many times to read this. So I wanted to actually own it before I read it, and I can't wait to read this, especially because Heather Lyons is my top most favorite author of all time, and she recommended it, so it has to be good, right? The Wrath of the Dawn by Renee, I can't say her last name, Adia. And this is another one that Heather Lyons and her club has recommended, and this cover I actually don't prefer over the newer cover that they released, but I am really excited to read it. It's kind of like an Arabian Nights retelling. The Burning Sky by Sherry Thompson and The Perilous Sea by Sherry Thompson. So of course I had to buy. These are, this is a sequel to this book, so, and look at, again, the covers. First and Then by Emma Mills. I actually was recommended this book from somebody in my book club. She told me that if I loved, I think it was a book by Renee Carlino, then I would love this book because it's very similar. The Winner's Kiss and The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. I own the first one in this series, but I didn't own the rest of it, and I'm super excited because I own them all in hardcover. This is another series that Heather Lyons recommended to me that I had to pick up and that I cannot wait to read, and I've heard amazing things about. And my final pickup and purchase of this extremely large book extravaganza is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I've already read this. I've read this entire series. I don't own any of this series, so this is my first one, my first copy of this, or any book in this series, so I'm super excited to start it, my collection anyway, because this series is very close to my heart, as well as her Court of Thorns and Roses. I love, 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 as well as pretty much everybody else who reads right now, but I'm really excited to own this series. And that completes this book haul. I'm sorry, I know it was huge, and I have to edit a lot because my cats kept jumping in and out. Outside of that, I'm super, super excited because I signed up for my first book subscription, and I should be receiving that in the mail this weekend or Monday. So I'll be doing an unboxing video, first one ever of a book subscription. So I'm super, super excited for that. I also made my first purchase of book candles, so I can't wait for those to come in the mail because then they can go on my lovely bookshelves, and that I'll let you know, and I'll do an unboxing for that video, or for that box as well, so you can see what I am adding to my collection. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'm sorry this one's a little bit longer and it took a little bit longer to get out because I was waiting for both of my deliveries of books, and then I actually have some books coming too. But thanks again, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will post another video very soon. If you have read any of these books, please leave some comments, and if you have any suggestions of books, of your favorite books that you think I should read or I should purchase, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks again. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.